Hey everyone, it's Megan Davies with Tigress Nutrition and Mindset Coaching. How are you? Happy Thursday. I just wanted to do a quick live today, a little bit about some themes that have been popping up in my life, and I really wanted to share with you an experience that I had recently. So I want to talk to you about three things today. Lessons I've learned from crossfitting for 5 weeks now, emotional release, and a phrase that my coach taught me, which is decide, commit, take action, DCA. So let's just dive right in. So I think really where all of this started was, I've been CrossFitting for about a month. I've been really interested in exploring more strength training and understanding what my body can do. And typically I've had a background in yoga, cycling, running, like a little bit more on the gentle and especially cardio and stamina side. And I was always put off by the idea of CrossFit, and it seemed very extreme. It seemed like a place where and this was just my perception before I even tried it, So, bear in mind, these are some stereotypes. I felt like it was a place where aggressive, toxic masculinity would probably thrive. And I myself, being kind of a sensitive person and intentional, especially in the containers I'm creating for people to explore who they are, was quite put off by that. And so, of course, I was put off by my own idea of it. So, if you guys have ever had an idea of something versus what it was actually like, please comment below what that was. And, once I started doing it, it was very different. And yes, it was hard and intense, and I enjoyed it though. I do love a challenge, and people are really friendly. I think people, when you say CrossFit, the word cult comes to mind, and it's like, well, yeah, people are friendly in a cult. So I don't know. I had all positive experiences until last week. Perhaps I was off. But, I want to tell the story with the core theme in mind of your thoughts create your reality, and your beliefs create truth. So, this is a theme I cover in my intensives in my 6-month online program launching in September. We really go into the deeper side of the subconscious, and so the paradigm, if you will, the story and the lens in which you look through the world is created by the thoughts and your actions and the words that you're using. So it's really interesting that I got hurt last Thursday, a week ago, and I understand what had happened. So it was two things. First thing was my own mindset got shifted, and I started holding myself as the weakest one in the herd and slow. And I believe, I've gained a lot of understanding doing this for other people, and so it's been a valuable tool for me to assess my own mindset and bring that awareness in. So always an opportunity to practice integrity, right? So practice what you preach. Anyway, so one part, it was my own mindset. I started holding myself as, the weakest one of the herd. I was the slowest one in the group. So the workout we were doing was a circuit, so it was a series of things, and this was just the warm-up. So I think it was a series of 4 different things. So the first thing we started with was ring dips, and then the second thing we went on to was box jumps. And so you have this long rig of different bars, and everyone sort of has their own station. Your box is set in front, so you can go from the ring dip onto the box, and you had time to build up the weight. So you had about, I think it was 12 minutes of practice your ring dips and see how much weight you can put on what is responsible. And I do like this gym a lot because they do cater to all levels, and I've had a really positive experience. This class was different though, and I don't know if it was just the collective energy that was changed. However, it doesn't affect, I'm still going. I'm going today. Anyway, so there's all these men. It was me and another woman in the class, and it was a experience of ego. So I couldn't do it well. To be kind, you know, I'm doing the best I can, and I'm using my practice of yoga to be intentional in the movements and to focus on form rather than speed or just getting it done and being sloppy. That's not going to build the muscle or the memory of doing the exercise well and using the body with strength. And so it was an opportunity for me to like let ego go and just recognize that we're all equal. Some people are able to do this well with lots of weight, and so I'm here at this side, the other woman's at the other side, and there's like probably like 8 men in between us. And to my knowledge, perhaps it was my experience of holding myself as the slow one in the herd. Everyone had a weight belt on in which they had strapped like with a chain, and they had strapped like what appeared to be like at least 50 pounds of like large weights dangling between their legs, grunting, doing it well, and I'm over here just like practicing my negatives and just like, yep, that's really hard. My arms are shaking, and it's okay. That's where you're at. And you know, for whatever reason, it was really hard for me to maintain that level of confidence, which normally I'm unshakable. I'm like, okay, well, we're all on our own journey. So I think that mindset, being like, oh no, I'm, you know, I think most of our stuff comes back to trauma, childhood, and I was like the newcomer and like the nerdy, like not athletic kid, and so I think that was triggered in seeing everyone else excel at this exercise, and I was struggling. And so I think my inner child was really freaked out at the exercise, and another guy took my box in which I had intentionally set at the right angle for me, and being flustered and holding myself as like, I'm really weak and slow and I'm not doing well, holding myself as that made it true. So he took my box. I don't know why that happened. I wish I would have been able to catch it and say like, hey, you're on my box, move off. And I didn't do that. Instead, I was so flustered that I jumped onto, I guess, his box, which was taller, and I ended up like completely crushing my shins. I don't know if anyone has had this experience with a box jump, but it hurts. It hurts so bad. And so I have like a scab on one shin that's like this big, and I have like bruises that are like long ovals. Like, it's a week-long injury at this point, but having that experience was so painful, I think, emotionally and physically, and trying to find what is the right way. The woman that I hold myself to be, and that I am in the practice of becoming, and trying to be as consistent as I can with that woman who is powerful, passionate, a strong communicator, does not let herself be blown over or taken advantage of, just got hurt because someone took her thing and she was holding herself as weak. So how am I acting as my higher self in this moment where I'm on the verge of tears and I'm surrounded by men who are doing well and I'm not? And I had that dilemma of what what is the best thing to do, and what is the best way to honor myself and not repress my feelings. And so that whole experience really it was quite eye-opening for me. And since I had that experience, moving on to my next topic, which is emotional release and intentionality. I had done a fire with a dear friend of mine, Natalie. She's been on a few of my lives, and you know, the whole experience of how that happened. Of course, I pulled it apart later, as well as felt my feelings. And you know, I had a little bit of a cry, because I'm a crier and it's important to release and express your emotions. I had made a decision on Sunday. We had made a fire together, and for any of you who have had some sort of ceremony around emotional release, perhaps you've done one with the new moon and the full moon, that's one way to do it. Or yeah, there's a lot of different ways of just like taking whatever is on your chest or on your back or on your mind and just like, you know, one of my coaches, Amy Yamada, talks about putting it in a box and closing the box, putting the box off to the side, and you know, just getting it out. So we lit a fire, we built one from scratch, and I think that was, there's more intentionality in creating this ritual to like watch the fire grow, to start that spark, to get the kindling going, to like, you know, we did all this in silence mostly, you know, and that wasn't really the intention. We didn't really have any rules, but you know, the intention was to build a fire, write what we wanted to release on paper and throw it into the fire, with the intention to just decide that we are done with those things, those emotions, those ways of being, those feelings that are holding us back and holding us from our greatness. And it was it was so powerful. I'd done this exercise in other ways. I had used like a terracotta pot, or I'd burn things. You know, I usually do a form of this on New Year's, where I'll write it and then I'll burn it off into the wind. But living in a city, it's a little different. I think having a fire was, you were less worried about like the safety of things catching on fire, your apartment catching on fire, etc. And so you got to just be really present in the moment and deciding, I no longer want to be small. And that's the feeling that I was having in the gym. I was holding myself as small instead of commanding respect, taking up space, which is, you know, it's definitely a dilemma that a lot of women deal with. And I think we are programmed to take responsibility for whatever has happened, even if it's not really, we don't need to take responsibility for it, and just to be sorry, to be accommodating and hold space for others. What I have seen is it's tricky for a lot of women to take up space and command that space and be in our power. So I chose that, and it has completely changed the way I'm interacting with the world, the way people are interacting with me. It's changed social dynamic. It's changed the way I'm speaking about my business. So that brings me to my last point, which is decide, commit, take action. And, you know, credit goes out to my coach, Amy Yamada. She is amazing. And, you know, this all happened because I decided, wow, okay, this is an opportunity. This was a hole somewhere in my, you know, subconscious. I was still holding this, like, I need to be accommodating. And perhaps, you know, perhaps it's residual programming from growing up Canadian, and Canadian women were very polite. We're taught to be polite and accommodating, and, you know, I pride myself as a good host. So I think perhaps some of that, and I'm not quite sure exactly where it came from, but I'm just kind of done with it. You know, I'm not to the point where I'm arrogant or rude, but, you know, it's like I can be aggressively compassionate. I don't know, I'm still playing with the language around it, but you know, life is too short. You gotta go after what you want, and you gotta just decide. So I decided, no longer playing small, I want to be big. I have a message I need to get out. I want to be seen and heard, and I gotta tell you, from speaking with other women have just dropped into my life since I made that decision. I'm having more intentional conversations, more opportunities are coming into my life, and I think it's just because I decided to just stop hiding. I want to be big, and so, you know, command it, and so it is. So you say it And then the universe is like, okay, got it. Let's rearrange things and get that on its way to you. So I'm committed to staying big and being out there, and yeah, gotta take action daily to keep at it. So yeah, let me know, guys, like, does that resonate with you? What do you think about that? Have you had an experience where you felt like you needed to stay small or accommodate to the point where you felt like you needed to repress your own voice? I think these conversations are really important to be having. So yeah, I just want to talk about those 3 points, and wish you guys a happy Thursday. I hope this helps you broaden your mindset and encourages you to look at all areas of your life and consider your own growth and demand that you go after the freedom that you want. All right. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll talk to you next time.